Today we talk about the potential effect that No Man's Sky has had on other games that are kind of like it, and how those developers are trying to manage that negativity with a clear message. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and I am Legacy Zero. So some interesting news has came about this week about two particular games that are a lot like No Man's Sky in a way, and those two games are Dual Universe and Astroneer. So I was afraid of this because of No Man's Sky's sort of turbulent release, all the negativity that it's getting, even in spite of it being an okay game. No Man's Sky is still sitting at the 71 mark on Metacritic, at least for the PS4 version. Can't really defend the PC version. If you look on Steam, that's pretty largely negative, so not sure how people are feeling about that game right now, at least on the PC version, but Eurogamer got with the developers of Dual Universe to talk about what effect No Man's Sky is having on it, and there were some pretty choice quotes in there, and they didn't really mince words, so I'll pick out some quotes now. No Man's Sky has hurt us very clearly. This is a post-No Man's Sky era. People cannot do the same thing. There's a huge amount of distrust in the community. As you know, we're doing a Kickstarter, and half of the comments are like, this is just No Man's Sky all over again. We're struggling. We're not quite there yet because of that. Our statement is we totally understand what's going on, and our policy is to be totally transparent. We're not saying anything that is not true. We're stating the facts. We have this technology, but it's going to be released at the end of 2018. There's all sorts of bad news, and we're saying it. And we have these questions from the community, and we want to answer all of them. We want to be absolutely clear. The game's not out yet. There's a risk that we can't deliver. There are all sorts of risk, but there's the risk that it's this great game that is innovating and bringing something new. What we want to say to the community is don't throw everything into the No Man's Sky thing. You have to increase your level of demand on what you're able to base your decision on the back of the game. If you say no all the time, we won't be able to innovate. There's an age of maturity that is approaching. People are realizing that they have to be careful about what they support. They shouldn't take the words for granted. We're okay with that, and we want to be transparent and open. So those are a couple of choice quotes there, but and again, this is really unfortunate because this is something that I preached about in my very first video on this channel against cynicism, right? And there's a good kind of cynicism and maybe a not great kind of cynicism. And when you look at a new developer that's trying to do something risky, and even in spite of No Man's Sky's failure when it comes to the opinion around it, I still don't think it's okay to default to cynicism when it comes to a developer. Now, Sean Murray and Hello Games are getting a hell of a lot of I told you so's from people right now, and I think that's fair for the most part, right? No Man's Sky, while being a commercial success, has become a critical failure, right? And that's a video that I think I want to talk about later when I think when Sean Murray finally comes out and says something. But right now, these folks are understandably being met with a level of cynicism because of No Man's Sky. And is that fair? Is that fair for them to be met with that kind of negativity right out of the gate when a developer is trying to not only be what No Man's Sky is and wasn't, but transcend that, right? To be something maybe beyond what it was supposed to be. You've got your Star Citizens, you've got your Dual Universes, and those are games that are in their own right supposed to be innovative and supposed to be advanced and supposed to be fun and play to the dreams of people that want games like these. No Man's Sky very much did that, and that's why it had the impact that it did. But then it launched and it was like a firecracker. It just just sort of said and has died down considerably, and it's unfortunate. It's a horrible story, and it breaks my heart to know that a game like No Man's Sky has really mistreated itself right out the gate, and it's mistreating its fans too when it comes to Sean Murray's silence. They're working hard on the game right now, and I respect that, but this is having a direct effect on not only just No Man's Sky, and not only just on Hello Games' future, but it's also indirectly affecting smaller indie devs or other devs that are trying to step into that space because they know that it's going to be something that is going to be big, or at least they hoped. Now, I will come back and say to these developers that you have probably sort of stepped yourself into something knowing that this was going to be a risk, because one of the problems with No Man's Sky is that it decided to talk about itself way too early. Sean Murray came out way too early with this game. 3 years is a long development cycle for people to be hyped for something. And when they go radio silent, it's all the worse, and it just leaves speculation and conjecture completely open. And you had to have known that there was at least some risk for you to announce your game this early on if you hope to have it finished by the end of 2018. So I can't say that I agree with the negativity that you're getting right up front, but I can say that maybe it wasn't a good idea for you to announce as early as you did. So just do what you say, you know? My advice would be to just come out the gate and do something positive and show people that you mean business, right? And prove to people that you don't have to live in the shadow of Sean Murray, that you can transcend that and do something positive with this particular genre that's been created. Now, we look at a game like Astroneer. They did a blog as well, and they came right out swinging too. They were a little more humble about it perhaps, but they came out and said, I don't enjoy writing about the missteps of other developers, but in the name of transparency, I think this is an important point to make. The controversial release of No Man's Sky fuels a lot of discussions about the development and the marketing of Astroneer, and more importantly, the reaction the game community has had to it. A lot of the press coverage about Astroneer links the games together, and we've seen a lot of talks amongst our community about these connections. Now, I'm not going to comment on one specific aspect of the game or the people behind it. This blog post isn't about that. I want to take this opportunity to put into practice the most important thing we've learned from witnessing No Man's Sky. Know what you are saying, but understand what is heard. I said, God damn. That, I think, is probably the most important quote surrounding this whole controversy right now, and it came from somebody other than Sean Murray. And you know what? It was something that he should have understood way before this game launched, is that you have to be clear in your message, but you also have to have an understanding about how people are perceiving it, right? How are they receiving this message? So really it comes down to this. So if there are folks that are out there looking into Astroneer and they're looking into Dual Universe, try not to come into it with a base cynicism to begin with, right? Let the game stand on its own. Let the developers have a chance to show you that they want to make a game that isn't going to disappoint, or at least be clear about what it is and what it isn't. But folks, if you thought this was informational, if you agree, disagree, pop into the comment sections and let me know. Have a nice debate about it. Like and subscribe if you thought this was great, but otherwise, see you next time.